Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Tuesday, the 8th of July. This video is for educational purpose only. There is no advice or recommendation intended in doing this. Today we'll have a look at Tesla that got beaten yesterday, 6.6%, dropped to below the 100 moving average, but yes, also the 200 moving average below the rising trend line, just above the cloud. RSI is testing 40 threshold. If it closes below, well, then we have a confirmed bearish sentiment on the RSI and Tesla, with the likely lower levels to follow in the coming weeks. The Apple also interesting here because there's actually conflicting indicators going on. We have the actual share price pushing higher, but failed to close this gap here up to 217 sellers to control throughout the session then. However, the RSI is still above 60 threshold and indicating likely higher levels, but I want to see it closing above 217 before I think that will materialize. Key is that also it's below 100 moving average, so keep an eye on what's going on here in the next couple of days on Apple. Since Tesla got beaten yesterday, of course, it also weighed on the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500. We have a Nasdaq 100 that was lower yesterday. So it looks a little bit toppish. We have divergence now here on the RSI. You can see the RSI values declining. So it looks a little bit toppish. We could risk seeing some volatility the next few days, since now the tariffs in US tariffs are back on the table. So keep your stops close. However, here pre-market, the Nasdaq is bouncing a little bit. So let's see if it starts taking out the lows from yesterday, then we could see a downwards pressure towards 22,300, possibly lower. We have strong support down here just above 22,000, 21,940 on the S&P 500. Well, more or less the same picture. However, there's no divergence here on the RSI, so that is actually indicating higher levels. So there's a little bit conflict also there, or divergence between Nasdaq and S&P 500, and also the Dow Jones. There's no divergence there, so it's going to be interesting which one will win here. I'm afraid it could be Nasdaq that will see a larger correction in the coming days, but let's see. It's still a little bit up on the air, but be careful if it suddenly starts moving south. Seng in Asian session bounced this morning, and I think it now will resume uptrend. If RSI closes back above 60 threshold, expected to push towards 25,000, could actually take out the previous peak here at 24,874. If it takes out the lows here from a few days ago, let's just draw a horizontal line right there, 23,690. Well, then we are in for a larger correction. The Nikkei also bouncing a little bit, but I think it will bounce more because we have positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, and it seems like it's bouncing off the 60 threshold here. So I think we will see it bouncing and could push above 41,000 in the coming weeks. And it seems like for now the tariff threats from US on Japan and South Korea is not really rattling the market at the moment. Well, let's see about that. EuroStoxx50 is flirting with the resistance at 5,344. It did it yesterday, done a couple of times here, and now doing it today again. A close above will establish a bullish trend with potential higher, and there will still be some resistance, though. The RSI needs to close back above the 60 threshold to further confirm upside, but it could also do that. DAX also flirting with its minor resistance here at 24,109. It is in a bullish trend, as usually higher highs, higher lows, higher highs possibly. RSI needs to close above 60 threshold to confirm a bullish trend. Euro dollar bounced from the 38.2 retracement at 116.83. If it doesn't take out the lows from yesterday, then I think we'll see it continue its push towards 119, 120, and especially if it takes out 118.30. minor resistance, the peak here. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, expect a sell-off down to test the lower rising trend line and the 61.8 retracement at 115.90. Sterling dollar here seems to be bouncing a little bit. At least it's still holding itself above the minor support here at 135.60. If it takes out that, well, then I think we'll be looking at 134.48. Otherwise, it could bounce and test previous peak. So it's a little bit up in the air or in a limbo at the moment. We have the euro sterling in a correction phase. There's no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels. So that would be interesting what will happen with the sterling. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then I think we could see a correction down to around 85.50. Dollar yen flirting with and testing resistance here, 146.30, and RSI flirting with the 60 threshold, a close above both. Well, then we have established a bullish trend and can push dollar yen up to 148.65, possibly higher. If it doesn't, well, then expect it to slide back. We have the 100 moving average weighing on it. Euro yen, on the other hand, really pushing higher here, and there is potential now up to around 173. I wouldn't be surprised if that's being reached. We have RSI that broke above its falling trend line we talked about past few days. That was the scenario, and I think there's no divergence at the moment. The way to test it, it's very close to at least 75.49, and today we have 74. Well, there is a little bit, but still, the trend is your friend. I think we'll reach 173. We have Aussie yen testing resistance here at 95.75. The 200 moving average coming down there, kind of putting a lid on it, but we could still see it pushing higher, and if it does, there is room up to around 97.30. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then this picture, bullish picture, has been demolished. Sterling yen pushing higher, potential to now 200, and I think we'll also reach there. If we are looking at the weekly, we can see it is flirting with these peaks here, just below 200. Aussie dollar bouncing from around 50% of this move here. Excuse me. Still risk to the lower side, but seems like it will bounce. And if it takes out the peak here at 65.90, then we are looking at the higher levels towards 66.50. And what we can do, we can just add a Fibonacci. Say, okay, what will it give energy? Oh, it kind of gives energy towards the 66.80, 66.55. Dollar Canada. Oops, let's just resize this. Reached also 50% and a little bit further. I actually expected to push higher to 786 retracement, 137.45, but it could be resuming downtrend. And if it takes out the lows here, well, then we're looking 134.40. Sterling Canada bounced also, but it's struggling a little bit. I think it will continue to bounce further towards 187 though. If it takes out the lows there at 184.90, then I think we will be looking at 184 and a bit. Not much to say on EURUSD. This range bound I've been talking about for so long, so now I'm a little bit tired of it, and maybe then it will move, but keep an eye on these ranges. And the dollar Swiss bouncing, and I think we'll still see it bouncing to at least 80, possibly up to 80.5, maybe even up to test the upper falling trend line and 80s, but 84. If it takes out the lows there, well, from about a week ago, well, then we're looking at 77.70. Dollar index, or more or less the same picture, bounced quite a bit, but didn't get up to test the falling trend line. Let's see if it can do that. There's resistance here at 97.68 and 97.86. It is not unlikely to get there, especially if it takes out the peak from yesterday. Then I think we'll see a push up there. If it takes out 96, well, then we are looking at much lower levels on the dollar index. On gold, well, it spiked a little bit lower yesterday, just above the rising trend line there. So if it takes out the lows from yesterday, then I think we'll see a test of 32.45 key support. key resistance 3400 that you should keep an eye on. A close above that, uptrend is likely to resume. The silver, it's 37.32. That is key resistance and key support here around 35.45. The platinum is taking a breather, but a lot of volatility still. But we need to take out the peak there at 14.37 for further upside to 15.20. If it takes out 13.22, then I think we'll see a sell-off down to around 12.60. Copper in a correction phase. Still a risk down to test the 4.95, but we have positive sentiment, no divergence. I think we'll see copper resuming uptrend towards 5.30, 5.40, and possibly higher in the coming weeks. It's just a question of this correction here, how deep will it be. Could actually dip all the way down to 4.90 before resuming uptrend. On energy side and crude oil, WTI crude oil just below the 200 moving average. I still believe we will see up to around 69.50, which is 38.2 retracement of this massive sell-off there. Key will be is RSI closing above 60 threshold or not. If it closes back above 60 threshold, there's still positive sentiment, but if it closes back above 60 threshold, it will give more upside potential. Brent crude oil also bounced, but it's way below its 200 moving average. But as you can see, higher high, higher low, higher high. So we are actually in a very short-term bullish trend with potential up to around 72. European nat gas just trading sideways. If it takes out the lows here, well, then we are looking at 31, possibly 30. Otherwise, we could bounce a little bit to 35, possibly up to 36.30. Euros nat gas. Well, if it takes out the lows from yesterday, where it spiked below the 786 retracement, then we are looking at $3. Other than that, we could bounce a little bit to 3.5, but it seems like there's a little bit of calmness on the market at the moment. On the Treasury yield, the US Treasury yields keeps bouncing and is reaching 440. And I think we could see it test the upper part of the cloud and possibly also 445, which is the 61.8 retracement of this sell-off there. RSI will most likely test the 60 threshold. If it closes back above, then there could be further upside potential for the Treasury yields. We have the excuse me. We have the European 10-year. Really pushing higher this morning above the previous peak, and now there's room up to around 270. The UK also pushing higher or pushing towards the spike up there a few days ago. I wouldn't be surprised to see it being tested here in the next few days. On Bitcoin, still below 110,651, which is key, and 112. So it needs to break those two for a new all-time high towards 120,000. Ethereum, key support at 23.72. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Talk to you again tomorrow.